Leonard asked me to say a few words today about Veterans Day. For those of you that don't know, I had the honor and privilege and humility and pride to be able to serve our nation in war and peace for 31 years. And he's asked me to say a few words, and I promise to be respectful of your times, but I have ordered lunch and supper. So I will read my remarks, and do not take that as insincere, as they would not be coming from my heart. Nothing could be further from the truth whenever I'm asked to speak. I do a lot of praying beforehand that God, you will hear my voice, but God's words are speaking through me. So please don't take that as not sincerity, but I will read my notes here. 2 days from now, 11th of November, 2025, is Veterans Day. Although this day was not always called by that name in legislation that was passed in 1938. I'm giving you a little history lesson because many of you don't understand the background of Veterans Day. The legislation was passed in 1938. November the 11th was to be, quote, dedicated to the cause of world peace and to be hereafter celebrated and known as Armistice Day. As such, this new legal holiday honored World War I veterans. In 1954, after having been through both World War II and Korea, the United States Congress, in the urging of veterans, amended the 38 Act in striking the word armistice and inserting the word veterans. With the approval of this legislation in 1954, 11 November became the official day to honor all living American veterans. Since the beginning of our nation's military service in June 1775, over 44 million men and women have proudly worn the cloth of our military and can be called that highly honorable title of veteran. Of those 44 million, roughly 18 million are still alive today, and Veterans Day is their day. This Veterans Day is the 107th anniversary of the end of World War I. In France, on the 11th hour, on the 11th day of the 11th month of 1918, which was on a Monday. The Great War, and which was later known as World War I, ended. That war lasted 4 years and 3.5 months, and at the cost of 17 million people across the globe. It was to be, quote, the war to end all wars. Little did our nation know that this war would not be the, quote, end to the war to end all wars. For in the span of just 23 short years, another great global war erupted, followed too soon by wars in Korea, Vietnam, Panama, Iraq, Afghanistan, just to name a few conflicts the United States was involved in, and conflicts continue around the globe today. We read in Matthew 24, 6 and 7, Mark 15, 17, and Luke 21, 9, Jesus said, you will hear of wars and rumors of war, and I will add, until I come again. Because there are wars, as Jesus said, we will have men and women that answer the call to defend, and after their military service, they have earned the honorable title of veteran. That is why our humble veterans and their loved ones are special and need to be recognized and thanked. It is so right, it is so correct, it is so needed to have a day that we can set aside and honorably and sincerely thank those who have made possible that one particular word we all hold so dear, and that blessed word is called freedom. May we never allow the phrase, freedom is not free, to turn into a cliche. Likewise, may we never allow ourselves to not say with true sincerity the 5 sweet words that mean so much to this soldier, thank you for your service. These men and women, these veterans are special, but in their humbleness, they would not describe themselves as special. They are those that Abraham Lincoln described at Gettysburg as willing to give their, quote, their last full measure of devotion. They're the ones that emphatically answered the call to President John F. Kennedy. His challenge was, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. There are two Bible verses that I feel best describe veterans. When I think of these selfless defenders of freedom, these veterans, two passages from the Bible come to mind. The first passage is from the Old Testament. That passage asks two questions, and there's an immediate response to those two questions. The other passage is from the New Testament, and it describes what these, quote, defenders of freedom are willing to do for you and me and for freedom. The first two questions come from the passage found in Isaiah 6:8, with two questions being, whom shall I send? Who will go for us? And then the immediate, resounding answer comes, here am I, send me. The second passage is found in John 15:13, and it's words that no doubt many of you, all of you are familiar with. Greater love hath no man than this, than he lay down his life for a friend. From our nation's beginning, when our nation needed warriors and asked who would go for us, young Americans across all our land raised their hand and said, in essence, here am I, send me. Their send me response also demonstrated the willingness of their selfless service of the second Bible verse. For when these young Americans raised their right hand and took that serious, life-changing, and selfless oath of enlistment or commissioning, they were in essence saying, I love my country. I love our freedoms. I love our people so much that I am willing to lay down my life for them. Because freedom is not free, and it never will be free, the cost is too high. We have Veterans Day as our way to thank and honor these selfless, quote, defenders of freedom. They have made it possible for precious, blessed freedom to be first secured and then insured. Thank you again for letting me spend a few moments and share a few thoughts with you today. May God bless you. May God bless all that have given a portion of their lives, and in so many cases, their very lives, for all of us and for freedom. May God bountifully bless all those that currently, quote, stand in the gap for our nation, and may He continue to graciously bless the United States of America. Thank you. Please be seated. I'm not standing here to enjoy your gracious applause. I'm standing here to make an announcement, a happy announcement. Many of you were here last Sunday, and we were graced with the presence of our son, Pamela and I, our son, Graham White. Graham White has served in the United States Army since age 17, having gone then to West Point and served on active duty now for over 25 years. Many of you don't know that he was wounded on 26th of June, 2003 in Iraq, leading Army Rangers, and he, by the way, had 11 combat deployments totaling 54 months in combat in Iraq and Afghanistan, leading Army Rangers. But on that fateful day, the 26th of June, 2003, what we all know now, didn't need explanation then, but we did then, was wounded by an IED, improvised explosive device. On that particular day, the first Americans ever killed in Iraq were his two Rangers, and our son was given 12 hours to live. He was wounded, had a sucking chest wound, was predicted to lose his left arm, and had shrapnel in his temple. Through prayer, great medical, well, let me put this in reverse. Because of his age, his strength as an Army Ranger, great medical attention, and what's the most important thing, prayers from around the world saved that young man. And he went on to serve, and 6 months later was at 10,000 feet altitude in Afghanistan, leading Army Rangers once again. On Thursday night, Pamela and I received a phone call we normally receive this particular phone call on Sunday afternoon. We answered the call, and Graham said, "Hey, Mom and Dad, how you doing?" We said, "Hey, how are you?" "Hey, it's Thursday night. It's not Sunday." "How you doing, Graham?" "Oh, good. How are you guys doing?" We're doing fine." "So what's going on?" "Oh, just everything's going good." "You got anything to tell us?" "My boss called me into the office this morning, folks, my Mom and Dad." "Yeah?" "He said the Army had decided to promote me to Brigadier General." That's wonderful for our country, and that's wonderful for our family, and that's wonderful. Here's who it's really wonderful. It's wonderful for God. Because we need, if there's any occupation, excuse the word occupation, but if there's any job in our nation that needs Christian, moral, devoted leaders, it's the military. Because I can tell you from experience, there are moments, immediate moments, you have to make moral decisions in combat. We need Christian leaders. And thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus, that this young man and many, I want to comfort you and letting you know, there are many great, wonderful Christian leaders that are leading our military and leading young men and women into combat. So thank you for your prayers. Thank you for your continued prayers, not only for Colonel, now promotable to Brigadier General Graham White, but for all those that are in our military and will be in our military. God bless America. Thank you.